Hey everybody, what is going on? It is Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a great day, great night wherever you are watching in from. Coming in here quick for a little bit of a late night crypto happy hour. Wasn't feeling too great early this morning, so I look like a mess right now. So we're not going with the old camera. We're just going with a good old voice here. Kyle Babcock, what's up, brother? CoinRise, Anthony Harvey. What is up, Colin? Hope you guys are having a good one so far. Give me a second just to make sure all this tech is set up right. Looks like we are good to go there. Top of the evening to you all. And just wanted to really pop in here to talk a little bit about what's going on today, as well as just some kind of overall thoughts from me moving forward in this market right now. And I had a little bit of a tweet earlier, and I'll pull it up here too, where I talked a little bit about consolidating positions. And this is something that I think some people maybe agree with, maybe some people don't, but here, I'll pull it up right now. Give me 1 second here. So somebody I follow on Twitter, Crypto Nike, tweeted this. I enjoyed the thoughts there, and he had said, I'm going to be looking to consolidate my altcoin holdings. Can't keep track of my bags right now, and that's not good. Hoping to get the total to under 15. And I talked a little bit about this before too, because I had, during the altcoin bull run in early January, I added a lot of positions because I think I got a little bit cocky and everybody was making money everywhere. And now I look at these positions and I didn't have as much conviction in things like Bread, in things like Chainlink and OMG. And that's not to say Chainlink isn't a legit project. That's not to say OMG isn't a legit project. I mean, I bought OMG at sub $2 and traded it probably at at 15, 16 bucks. But I just had a little bit more conviction in some other cryptocurrencies, and I see some people, Shami and Fresh to Salt, saying consolidating on OMG is a bad idea, ditching OMG is a bad idea, and it might be. That's definitely something that it could be a bad idea. I'm not gonna sit here and say, hey, that's absolutely that's a smart idea. What's up, Luke? Venture Coinist, what's up, brother? I'm not gonna say that it was absolutely the smartest idea, but I just felt a little bit more conviction and in some of the other cryptocurrencies out there. And you can see I need to update my portfolio right now, but this is from back on January 23rd, so it's actually really outdated. But I've made a few moves since then. The most recent two moves is actually ETC, adding in ETC and Z Classic or ZCL. I think I did enough research on Z Classic, and there's a bunch of people that either love Z Classic or absolutely hate it and think that Z Classic is a total scam. But when I look at the risk-reward profile of Z Classic, I think it's worth I think for me, it's worth it. And so I consolidated a little bit into some of my Bread holdings, into Bread, OMG, Link, into Z Classic, as well as into ETC. So somebody's saying Z Classic will go to 0 after the fork. Yeah, it might not go to 0, but it's probably going to dip. It's probably going to lose a significant portion of its value. But the entire point right now of buying Z Classic is to get Bitcoin private, and that's the bet there. The bet for me is not to speculate on the long-term price. I mean, I think there is going to be short-term price action in Z Classic. If Venture Coinist is still out there, hit it up in the comments if you're watching, because I know you've done a good amount of research on Bitcoin private, Z Classic as well. But the play there is not Z Classic 6 months from now. It's Bitcoin private after the fork and getting Bitcoin private from Z Classic during that fork. So that's kind of my thought process on that. But the rest of my portfolio has stayed pretty steady, and I'm excited about how it's developing right now. I've been adding into positions kind of in this sub $9,000 Bitcoin, feeling fairly confident in this range. Going through some of these questions here. Let's see if anybody has any specific questions then definitely let me know. Taking a look here, what do you use to set up your portfolio? So this is just like an Excel doc that I take a screenshot of. This is nothing crazy, and this is a WordPress extension, so this is nothing crazy. But I mean, I tweeted about this too today. If you guys are looking for a portfolio tracker, this article today, I can throw it in here. I saw this article that was in Reddit. I'll throw the link into, let's see if it'll pop up here. I'll throw the link into the comments, but this was, I thought, a pretty good article. It was passed around on Reddit, but they talked about the 10 free crypto portfolio trackers, both PC and mobile. I personally use Blockfolio. That's kind of my go-to on mobile. That's pretty much what I primarily use, is just for mobile tracking. I don't do P&L tracking I don't really worry about P&L tracking on a mobile device, so I simply just edit the transactions. But when it comes down to actually, P&L, realizing profit, taxation purposes, things like that, I use Bitcoin.tax. So that's what I typically use at this point in time. So somebody said, "Hey Bobby, do you really like 0x?" And it's actually not spelled out 0x. It's just the number 0 and then x, or 0x. Link was broken. If you go to my Twitter, that'll have it. I don't know why the link always breaks in the YouTube chat, but I do like 0x a lot. I am very bullish on 0x. I'm very bullish on AirSwap. I am having the AirSwap team. I'm having Michael Ovid and Don. Let's see here. That's also something I posted on Twitter recently. So if you guys have questions for this interview, so I'll be having Michael Ovid and then Don. I don't know how to pronounce his last name yet, so I should probably get on that. But I'll be having them on from the AirSwap team on Wednesday, February 14th, so Valentine's Day at 2:30 p.m. Nothing like a nice little crypto happy hour on Valentine's Day to talk about all the goodness of decentralized exchanges. If you guys have questions that you'd like me to answer, I'm putting that together for their team tomorrow, and that'll be a YouTube live as well. But I'm really excited to talk to the AirSwap team. They are, in addition to 0x, I'm very bullish on, I think between AirSwap and between 0x, they're going to have a lot of success. But if you go over to the AirSwap team's, AirSwap team's website, and you just, outside of the white paper, digest that obviously, but you look at the team itself, the background that they have, the founder, Michael Ovid, or one of the co-founders, algorithmic trader at Virtue Financial, which is one of the top algorithmic trading firms really on kind of Wall Street. Mathematics degree from Carnegie Mellon, incredible software engineer and his co-founder. There are a number of, you kind of go down the list, you see Joseph Lubin, they're backed by consensus. So you got Joe Lubin, one of the co-founders of Ethereum. You got Mike Novogratz as an advisor. You have Brock Pierce as an advisor. They have just an incredibly strong team when you kind of go down the list. And I mean, these aren't like Joe Schmoes. Like, you go down the list, it's Yale. You see, chief of staff for Zappos, McKinsey, MBA from Harvard. Like, that's a freaking strong team. So I'm excited to talk to them a little bit about what they're doing in more detail, as well as how they differ from, that's one of the big things that I want to get across too, is how they differ from 0x, how they might differ from Kyber, and get a really solid understanding for these decentralized exchanges, and also talk to, frankly, about where do the centralized exchanges have a leg up on decentralized exchanges right now. Can you talk a little bit about that? And I think it's going to be a fantastic conversation. I'm really excited about it. So that'll be a live crypto happy hour on Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. So that should be a damn good time. Taking a look at some of these questions here. Let's see if there's anything. Somebody said thoughts on Cardano overtaking Ethereum in the long term. I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. We'll have to see. I'm as bullish on Cardano as pretty much anybody out there. There is a lot to overcome. Ethereum has first mover advantage right now. They have the largest development community. They have the highest number of companies that are developing on. They have the highest number of companies that are developing on their platform. So they have they've created this snowball effect of sorts where they've done really well. They've built up a lot of, I think, human capital within. They built up quite a bit of human capital within the industry. And Cardano, there is certainly an opportunity for Cardano to gain market share. There's an opportunity for Neo to gain market share, and for EOS to gain market share, and for Stellar. I don't know if I see anybody eclipsing Ethereum yet. That might be, that could take quite a while, but I do envision companies out there like Cardano or like Neo or like Stellar or like EOS that will gain market share. They've already obviously gained market share from Ethereum so far, but they are early on. So it's going to be very interesting to watch, because you talk about the battle there is between, can Ethereum scale fast enough, or can these companies can these protocols and can these platforms that have these grand visions like Cardano, like EOS, like Stellar, like Neo, they have these fantastic visions, but can they execute on those visions before Ethereum can scale? Because if Ethereum can scale quick enough, then a lot of the visions that these companies are looking to accomplish don't necessarily matter as much. But if Ethereum stumbles and can't scale in time, there is a massive opportunity for, there's a massive opportunity at that point in time for some of those companies to step in. Somebody said, ha ha ha, you dumped Link. Do you hate money? Yes, I hate money. I hate money. I blah, 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 blah. So whatever. No, that's one thing that anytime I say I buy something, I sell something, somebody gives me shit about it, it is what it is. If you want to complain, or if you want to say, I like Chainlink. I do. I like Chainlink. I've said a lot of fantastic things about Chainlink in the past. I still think Chainlink is legit. There's only so many places I can put my money right now, and I want to consolidate it enough so that it has a meaningful impact if it does anything positive and or negative. So that's just my thought process there, and I didn't have as much conviction in Chainlink for the time being as I had in some other short play bets. That's not to say that I won't re-enter a Chainlink position in the future, but that's my overall thoughts right now. Thoughts on buying BitConnect? That is actually hating money. That is, that is definitely about hating money. Somebody said the nano debacle. I've talked about that in a previous video. So talked about that in a little bit of a previous video where, that's mostly on the side of the BitGrail team from just a gross negligence perspective. BitGrail is insolvent, and they really didn't know what the hell they were doing. The bad part is the Nano team had said a bunch of positive things about, said a bunch of positive things about BitGrail, or tried to reassure when there were some negative things that were going on. So that, not the greatest look in general, but from the perspective of Nano, I don't know how much they really could have done other than warning people and saying, hey, this is an outright scam. There are a lot of negative scams, or a lot of negative signs going into it, but when you look back, who knows? It's a tough situation. If you really are bullish on Nano, it's down 72% right now from the all-time highs. If we pop over here, it's gotten crushed, and the all-time high was $34. If you think it could ever get back to that, you might be looking at a decent-sized opportunity. So that's something to take into consideration if you're looking to build up a position in Nano for sure. So somebody mentioned some type of Monero fork called Aeon. I don't know too much about that at all. I'll have to look into it in a little bit more. I haven't done too much research into Aeon at all. We can pull this up. This is one hell of a slogan here. It isn't just a cryptocurrency, it's a lifestyle. Well, how is it a lifestyle? I haven't done as much research into Aeon as I probably should have, but let's see. I mean, it's a $46 million from a market cap perspective. It's not tiny by any stretch, but it's traded on Bittrex, which is good enough for me, at least, if that's one place you could acquire it. Volume's a little bit lower than I'd like to see. I mean, you're talking about less than $200,000 in daily volume. So don't necessarily love that, but I haven't done as much due diligence into Aeon as maybe I should have, but there's just so many cryptocurrencies out there. So somebody said Mark Cuban's coin. I don't know if that's necessarily if you're talking about GMT Mercury Protocol. There's a couple other cryptocurrencies he has backed, but GMT is probably the closest one that some people might be talking about. I have a tiny bag of GMT, and it's from Ether Delta. It's really the only place GMT is trading right now. Somebody else is saying UKG, so Unicoin Gold, I believe that is, and I think Cuban invested in that as well. The cryptos that Cuban is thrown into, the crypto that Cuban has invested into hasn't necessarily done that incredibly well. I mean, we could pull up UKG. I'm sure Cuban's gotten in on some nice rounds, but I mean, this was worth over $300,000 at one point in time, or $300 million in market cap. This was, what do you have at the peak here? $2+. Now it's at 42 cents. We have GMT that was worth, it's probably worth 40 mil at one point. Yeah, about 40 mil market cap. Now that's down about 75% as well. So Mark Cuban cryptocurrencies aren't necessarily immune from pumping by any stretch. He's not a good pumper. That's funny. Am I still sitting with my GMT bags? They're so small right now that I haven't even included them in my portfolio. I'm mad at myself for having any level of a GMT bag whatsoever, but it's kind of tough to ditch sometimes on Ether Delta, so I've just held on for the time being right now. Hopefully Cuban can pump it up, but that's a fool's errand to think that right now. Somebody said I need an ad blocker. Yeah, I just have all my bookmarks on Google Chrome right now. I also use Brave browser too, so Brave's pretty legit. But somebody said definitely drunk. If you were here earlier, I said I was a little bit sick today, so I'm definitely not drunk at all. I'm drinking a nice Poland Spring water. And for you to accuse me of drinking alcohol is very insulting. MHDBSSD. I don't appreciate that whatsoever. No, I'm kidding. Somebody said, have you tried the Rise app? Yeah, I actually downloaded that today and check that out. I think they're delaying the token distribution. I just got an email from that because I did participate in the ICO for the props team. I'm actually very excited about that. I played around with the app a little bit. It's my username. If you are on the Rise beta app, it's Crypto Bobby. It's pretty easy. No spaces, underscores, anything like that. But I am on the Rise app right now, and then I will be in the future trying to experiment with that a lot more as more people sign up for that. So I'm excited, certainly excited for that. Any thoughts on Simple Token? So let me pop that up. Haven't done a ton of due diligence into Simple Token yet. Just pulling it up here. So, I mean, looks like mostly on the subject of side chains. Somewhat interesting, but I need to do a little bit more research. I can add this to the number of white papers that I have to read because I am swimming in white papers that I need to read. It's almost getting overwhelming at this point in time. But yeah, I don't have enough research on Simple Token right now to give you a really solid thought process on it yet. What is your opinion on Packcoin? I'll pass. I'll give it a hard pass. Definitely a hard pass. So taking a look at some of these questions here. When is Bitcoin Private going to be released? I believe that's late February is when the fork is going to occur. And the fork is for, the fork is for both Bitcoin and ZCL holders is something that when that goes down, when that fork happens, the snapshot occurs. That'll be for ZCL holders as well as for Bitcoin holders. Somebody said, am I still holding VeChain, VEN? Yes, I've been holding VeChain since early December. Somebody said shilling basic attention token. I probably own $150 worth of basic attention token, so I don't think I'm shilling basic attention token, nor would I even care to shill it. I do think that basic attention token and Brave Browser are interesting because they are one of the actual, outside of the cryptocurrencies and the platforms like Ethereum, like Bitcoin, like Litecoin, like some of the crypto out there that actually are usable cryptocurrencies that have a legitimate use case right now. There are a lot of these apps and things like that nobody's actually using for the intended purpose. Basic attention token, like I said, I probably have $150 worth of BAT, but when it comes down to it, it actually works, and it works as intended, which is pretty cool. More than you could say about most cryptocurrencies out there right now. So as far as shilling, I don't know if I'm shilling it, but just because I say something positive about something, that it automatically means I'm shilling it. So whatever. What's up, Dan? Appreciate it, brother. Would ZCL ETC be a good place till the first? Can't make a case that we're out of bear till then anyway. Manitha. So that means you have to take 3 shots, Dan Murphy. Appreciate the super chat. So I think ZCL is interesting in the standpoint. There's a lot of people that are not fans of ZCL. They think that it's basically a ripoff. It's a scam. It is what it is. So there are a lot of people that think it's full of crap, and they don't like the founder, and they think the founder's a fraudster, and they think that the way they're basically just reviving a dead project, blah, blah, blah. You could certainly say that, and I think there's certain things about the project that are a little bit fishy for sure. I'm not going to sit here and say it's, the best project on the planet, but when you look at Bitcoin Private, and then you look at something like Bitcoin Gold at one point in time was trading at $400. It's now down to about $113, but at one point in time you had Bitcoin Gold trading at $484. If you're looking at somewhat of equivalent there at all for Bitcoin Private, which in my opinion is a significantly better project than something like a Bitcoin Gold, that could be an interesting play, because a couple people have said, hey, with Z Classic, isn't it going to dump the second that the fork happens? Probably, yeah, it's going to dump, because there's going to be no reason. The team has basically said, hey, we're not going to work on this Z Classic project after this is over. We're going to work on Bitcoin Private. The entire purpose of it, though, of acquiring Z Classic right now, or ZCL, and you can do that on something like Bittrex or wherever, but the entire purpose, and this is not me shilling or anything like that, but it's an interesting dynamic from the perspective of these forks, because there's different ways that companies are approaching them now, and there's all these different interesting funding methods. And what's going on with Z Classic is they're going to provide you, if you own one Z Classic, you are going to get 1 token of Bitcoin Private. If you own 1 Bitcoin, you are going to get 1 token of Bitcoin Private. So if you have an $8,000 or close to a $9,000 Bitcoin, you are going to get 1 token, or 1 Bitcoin Private token. However, rather than owning 1 Bitcoin, you can own a $100 ZCL and get that same Bitcoin Private token, which is why a lot of people are buying up ZCL, and why the price of ZCL went from being basically nothing to where it is now. So I've done a decent amount of research on it, and I think that it might be something that it's an interesting play for me at least. So the risk reward, at least in my mind, is there to make a move on it. So I'll be interested to see what happens. It's not a massive bet for me, but I think there are some pretty intelligent people out there that think that, the Bitcoin private fork could go to a $10 billion market cap. There are some other very intelligent people that think it's a total crap coin and think it's going to go to zero. So who knows? Ashton Smith, if you could invest in Polyswarm, would you, and what are your thoughts on it? Yes, I would. Definitely, if I had the opportunity to, I would definitely invest in the Polyswarm ICO. I like the team a lot. I've had a chance to meet them. I think they're raising a conservative amount of money. I think they have an interesting use case, and they are one of the kind of one of the few that are attacking that level of the market. So I'm excited, excited about that for sure. Somebody said if you hold ZCL on an exchange, and this is the same for any fork, which is always an interesting thing you want to do a lot of research on, but if you hold ZCL on an exchange, I don't know if Bittrex, I don't think there's been an official statement about Bittrex supporting that fork, so I have no clue. I would, just to be safe, I would wait. I would wait to see, but if Bittrex doesn't come out with an official statement, I would download a desktop wallet to... They have a couple different wallets available, so I would download a desktop wallet or something like that, store it in your computer. I know it's not necessarily as safe as a hardware wallet, but that's probably going to be the one way that you'd be able to guarantee very quick access to that fork. So somebody said if I heard of Orchid Protocol, I heard they raised, they're not doing an ICO because they raised all their money in a pre-sale. So let's see here. I think... So this is one trend that if you haven't noticed yet, you're going to see a lot. There are a lot of ICOs that are going on right now. A lot of ICOs that are going on right now that are not going to main sale. And that's going to happen more and more and more as far as the legality of ICOs continues to move around. So this is something that I think you definitely want to take into account. I haven't done a full deep dive into the Orchid Protocol at all, so I haven't read the white paper yet. Backed by very interesting. So this is the first time I have seen it though. So I believe I've heard about them a little bit, but I haven't done the full round of due diligence. But they're backed by Sequoia, which is a massively important Silicon Valley VC firm. Andreessen Horowitz, obviously another massively important Silicon Valley VC firm. DFJ, which is Draper Fisher Jurvetson, I believe, which is Tim Draper. Polychain Capital, Olaf Blockchain Capital, Brock Pierce. I mean, those are some legit Jimmy Song, I believe, is at just joined blockchain. So those are top tier investors. Very interesting to take a look at. I don't know what the exact details of the token sale, but I would also venture to say that they probably got into the ICO at a very high discount rate. So it'll be interesting to see what that hits the market and if anybody determines what the discount rate is. Somebody said, why are the chats more rare now? Because everybody's poor because Bitcoin's down so much. So I'm kidding. I don't know. It is what it is, man. Still got that full-time job. I'm living all right. We'll live. Aeon, because of its low supply, 18 mil, low price. It's interesting. I wouldn't invest in a cryptocurrency simply because it has a low supply and a low price, but that's definitely somewhat of an interesting point there. What's up, David? What's going on, man? I don't know if are you sober enough to be in here, Dave? What's going on, brother? See you in New York in 2 weeks, man. Mikachu, you want to hang out? There you got your hangout, brother. Thank you very much, Super Wild. I don't know. Just Lambo racing with David Hay. Somebody said, do I still believe in AirSwap? Yes, I do. I'm very much a proponent of decentralized exchanges. I like AirSwap. I like 0x. And if you missed it before, I am having the AirSwap team on Crypto Happy Hour on Wednesday. So literally the two co-founders of AirSwap, Michael and Don, are going to be on Crypto Happy Hour live. And we're going to be talking about AirSwap, decentralized exchanges, crypto in general. So it should be a lot of fun. Somebody said, I figured out how to purchase groceries with crypto, gift.com. Any way to purchase gasoline with crypto? I have no idea. I don't know. I don't really spend my crypto that often. It's mostly my moonshot investment bet. So I don't really spend my crypto too often, if at all. And if I do, I cash it out just into the US dollar. Mikachu, I already gave you a shout out, so if you ask for a shout out one more time, I'm going to shout you out of the chat. I'm kidding, brother. So, we got one question here about ICX Icon. I think Icon is solid. It's definitely a nice play. It's already spiked up quite a bit. Greg Rocco, what's up, my man? If you guys don't follow Obstropolis on Twitter, I can't spell that out, but follow Obstropolis on Twitter. You better be sorry, Mikachu. What do we got here? So one interesting thing. What do we got? Let me pull it up. So Lightning Network is pretty cool. If you guys haven't seen this, so this is Jameson Lopp. This is his website. If you go to lopp.net/bitcoin.html, I would highly recommend this. He has some incredible resources, links, blogs, whatever. Some awesome stuff. So I would definitely recommend you check it out. But if you are interested in the Lightning Network, what you'd want to, in my opinion, what you'd want to do is head over here. Who knows if this, let's see, I'll try and throw it in the chat. Who knows if the link, here's the link. So try to click on that. That link should hopefully work for you guys. If not, just go to lopp.net and then I believe it's resources, maybe at the top. And I'll pop down here, and what do we got? So Lightning Network is one of the sections. There is a video for an explanation like you're 5 years old, an explanation like you're 25 years old, network statistics, the main net graph as well. Lightning Network is really interesting Lightning Network is very much interesting to me for a number of reasons. So this is pretty. These are currently the number of nodes and channels that are running on the Lightning Network. So it's it's blown up pretty significantly. You have now 659 nodes that are running on the Lightning Network. There are 1,800, a little over 1,800 channels that are actually running on the Lightning Network as well. And this is on the main net, and you can see the fees are actually too tiny to really even go over at this point in time. And there's $54,000 of volume or total capacity right now on the Lightning Network. So it's pretty cool to see this develop. It is still very much early stages. I mean, you're talking about $54,000 of total capacity, so it's not that much money by any stretch. But when you look at what this means, I think that it's showing the level of interest, the level of adoption in the Lightning Network, and I think it overall is something that could mean quite a bit of this. In addition to Coinbase adding SegWit, in addition to the fees pretty substantially lowering on the Bitcoin network, I'm pretty bullish on the long-term potential of Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin, I don't want to say Bitcoin has figured it out by any stretch, but the way in which Bitcoin is approaching things right now is appealing to me, and I've definitely grown my stack of Bitcoin in the past month or so, just because I think that I like it as my core holding at this point in time. I still have Bitcoin and Ethereum are my two biggest plays. Yeah, so Lightning Labs, I believe, is the actual company that develops it, and that is from Elizabeth Stark, who is, I believe, the CEO. Let me pull this up here. So there we go. Yep. If you're on Twitter, it's twitter.com at Starkness, and she is the co-founder of Lightning Labs, which is basically the company that has been working on developing the Lightning Network. And if you want to follow them, it's at Lightning on Twitter. So the interesting thing, though, one of the interesting things about this is that with the Lightning Network, Elizabeth Stark and the Lightning team have kind of been trying to pump the brakes a little bit on the Lightning Network because it's not ready for prime time yet, and people are so interested in using it and so excited about it that there's probably more usage of the Lightning Network than it is ready for. So certainly something to keep in mind. Yeah, there's definitely a couple, I think, like Greg has said, there's a couple different shops and a couple different kind of areas of development there, but Lightning and Elizabeth Stark is probably one of the more well-known ones. Yeah, we got a nice little bit of a... Am I on BitShares right now? What the heck am I on? Nice little bit of a red candle. Nothing crazy, but... Is David Hay couch surfing at your place for NAC3 burning question in the crypto sphere? Now, David, I don't know, man. So taking a look at some of these questions. Ian, what's up, man? Thank you for all this. Started watching and has improved my fundamental analysis tenfold. Well, that's fantastic. Paired with TA, learned with Crypto World News. I'm building. Thank you. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that you want to do is you always want to learn. I am definitely not the only place to learn or the best place to learn by any stretch, but I think you can probably gather a bit of information from every single person out there, regardless of their background or experience, whether it's fundamental analysis, whether it's technical analysis, whether it's market sentiment. There's a lot of different ways you can approach crypto. I don't think there's one right way. I don't think there's one wrong way. The only wrong way is anybody that ever said that anybody that ever promoted BitConnect, those were the wrong ways. But outside of that, anybody who has good intentions and isn't a jackass, listen to them and gain something from the way that they're approaching things. Somebody says, any resources or podcasts you recommend? So I really like the guys at Crypto Street Podcast. If you haven't heard of them, what do we got here? So I'll pull them up on Twitter. So I like the dudes at Crypto Street Podcast. I'll throw a link into it. They're on Twitter, and that has their link. That should have the link to... If I can spell. So Crypto Street Podcast is legit. Ledgercast is another one that I like. They have a solid podcast. There's a couple other ones. Some are more focused on crypto trading. There are some good episodes on A16Z. That's a solid one. Coin Mastery. Carter Thomas is a good dude. There are so many fantastic resources as far as crypto goes. It's really difficult to differentiate across the board on that for sure. Ross Ulbricht created Bitcoin. I don't know about that. Any thoughts on Dent and their Android app release at the Mobile World Congress on the 26th? Are you bullish or bearish long term, short term? I haven't gone through like the entire due diligence process with Dent. It's not as appealing to me as no, I'm not saying I don't like Dent. It's just not maybe. Well, let's talk about Dent to Coin because Dent is on the blockchain, baby. Now I'm not saying I don't like Dent in general, but when I'm talking about I don't know, a mobile data marketplace, I think kind of selling unused data it's very interesting. Do I think that it's going to crush it? I don't know. It'll be interesting to watch it out. I think that it could be it's a very interesting use case, but as far as how it pans out in the world of crypto is something that I'll keep an eye on. That's for sure. But there's a couple other competitors. Somebody's saying Telcoin will crush Dent. Who knows if that's going to be the case? But the use case itself is interesting. I'll definitely give it that. But I don't know. It's not necessarily for me, at least like a use case that I'm really pumped about investing in. I think there's other. I'm more interested in protocols. I'm more interested in decentralized exchanges. I'm more interested in privacy coins. That's kind of my thought process on that. So that's kind of where I'd be looking to, at least for right now. I'm more interested in having my money in Bitcoin, in platforms like Ethereum, like potentially Neo, like Cardano, like Ethereum Classic, privacy coins like Zcash, Monero, ZCL, Bitcoin Private, as well as some other kind of moonshot bets out there. But what about pigeons? I mean, I think pigeons are like that's my go-to at this point in time. I'm looking at my pigeon coin as a big potential part of profitability. Somebody asked what software I'm using right now. It's OBS. But going back to this too, I mean, this if you are new to crypto by any stretch, this is probably one of the most comprehensive collections of resources out there. So shout out to Jameson Lopp for putting this together. It is super, super, super legit. There's free online courses, Khan Academy, Bitcoin course. There's some random Udemy courses, the Princeton course, online videos, documentaries. It's about as good as it gets. So if you are interested in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, I'd highly recommend you check out this website for a lot of other good resources, details, things like that. You can probably gain quite a bit of insight from it. So that's something if you are new or just looking for a little bit more information, whether it's Lightning Network, whether it's high quality blogs. There's a lot of different statistics here that I think are pretty cool. So I think there's a lot of information you can glean off this. Sean White with a sweet run if anyone is watching. Sean White just... I'm a terrible skier, by the way. Just not that Sean White is a skier by any stretch, but I went this weekend. I went on my first Black Mogul run, and I ate it every 4.5 seconds. So that was a that was a fun time. Lucky I didn't die. Somebody said, why can't we see your face today? Can't tell what you're drinking. It's water, so nothing crazy. It's water, nothing crazy. I wasn't feeling that good, so I took a nap halfway through the day, and my hair looks like a freaking peacock. So that's why I'm not behind the scenes, because I didn't feel like taking another shower and actually doing my hair. Poland Springs IPA is delish. Straight from Maine, man. That hipster stuff. Greg, let's not get into that. So Andrew Lupo said, any idea if IOTA will be utilized by their partnerships or just the protocol like XRP? I am not. I'm not a massive fan of IOTA. They've gotten a lot of people that I respect in the crypto world. They've gotten torn to shreds from a technical standpoint. They have gotten a lot of negative feedback. Or just a lot of feedback in general, and I think that the way the team has handled that feedback has turned me off to the project. They basically have cursed out some of the most influential people in the crypto space, and I don't like to see that. So, what do we got here now? IoT. Yeah, they've just said some things that I haven't really necessarily loved, and if a team is going to be negative, I I don't know. I don't necessarily know if I want to participate and hear too much about it. That's just me. Yeah, somebody said flaming Ari Paul doesn't sit well with the community. Yeah, when you like, if you guys follow Ari Paul on Twitter, and I'm having Ari on the show in like 2 weeks or so I'm excited about that. But Ari is like one of the most logical dudes on Twitter, one of like the just most reasonable, sound, nice dudes on the planet, and you're gonna come out and yell at him. I don't know. I just no thanks. Let's see. Let me see if I get the tweet, which I wasn't a fan of. And somebody on IOTA is probably going to find this and yell at me for it anyway, but here we go. Yeah, so when this was the founder of IOTA, that Kyle Samani and Tushar Jain are two guys behind Multicoin Capital. They put out some analysis about IOTA, and I didn't think it was that bad, to be honest. Like, I can probably pull it up, but I didn't think it was that bad. And let's see if I can find it. So here, they put this out January 23rd. I think I already have the executive. I already downloaded it, but basically, like Multicoin, if you're not familiar with them, I think they put out, like, they do a really good job blogging. They put out some pretty good research. I would highly recommend you go. It's multicoin.capital. I would highly recommend you check out the website. Some people like it, some people don't, but I would highly recommend from a resource standpoint that you check out multicoin.capital. But when it comes down to it, they put out this 12-page report, but the executive summary in regards to IOTA as well, specifically in regards to IOTA, we can kind of go through some of this stuff. They talk about the features, scalability, highly increased throughput, zero fees, decentralization, quantum resistance. So those are good features. They talk about the use cases, specifically in Internet of Things, also integrated secure messaging, a data marketplace. And then they get to the bottom of it. They say the major concerns. The coordinators are centralized. There is a hardware change. They've talked about a hardware change to IoT devices. The network has experienced downtime in the past, some software vulnerabilities. And then if we go to the conclusion, this is where I think it gets interesting. But they say the directed acyclic graph, otherwise known as DAG architecture, is interesting. It's a novel mechanism. We don't believe DAGs will make blockchains obsolete, but certain features, trade-offs that might make them a better fit. DAGs are in their infancy, will remain largely untested. While IOTA was one of the first major projects to build a DAG instead of a blockchain, we find that the approach taken by the IOTA team presents many reasons to be highly concerned. While the DAG-based systems may form an important part of the future of the crypto ecosystem, we have reservations about the DAG implementation of IOTA as listed above. We wish the IOTA team all the best and hope they are able to execute on their vision, as it represents a compelling step forward for the economy of the Internet of Things. However, given the current state of the IOTA network, the substantial technical risk, and the overwhelming evidence of serious flaws in the protocol, we believe that IOTA is sharply overvalued at current prices. So basically they said, we believe IOTA is presently overvalued, and this was when IOTA's market cap was at $6.8 billion. What's it at right now? We'll take a look. Take a look over here, pop it over. So IOTA is, where is it? IOTA is at $5 billion. So, I mean, if you took that, granted the entire market's gone down, but I mean, that call back then is, it's a 1 point. It was overvalued then. So they hit it right for now. But I mean, I don't think there's anything necessarily completely wrong about this evaluation. So, when this came out, the founder of IOTA just shredded them and said, they had this like a live interview, or they had this live discussion about the analysis, and then I think the IOTA team was there. They didn't like it. They said some other things. There was basically some back and forth and some fighting and all that stuff. But Ari Paul just was like, hey, this is this response is pretty much inappropriate, and they said I don't know, they just went after him. So it was, I don't like that approach. I'd rather a team just shut up and take it, to be honest with you. More people read this piece because the founders of IOTA were mad about it than would have not read it. If the founding team of IOTA did not necessarily like make such a big deal about it, then I think not as many people would have read the piece, and they did a good job of basically marketing multi-coin capital for them. So I think that's kind of an interesting way to think about it in the long run. Somebody said, any thoughts on Tron? I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I'm not a fan of Tron. I think, speaking of sharply overvalued, I still think Tron is overvalued. That's just my thoughts. So Status SNT. I got in on the Status ICO back this summer and sold it for a pretty decent profit, but I don't hold any Status now, although Status has done really well. There was a point in time where Status dropped down to being worth like, Status was at one point in time, like, I feel like pretty well below 100 mil in market cap, and has made a pretty solid move since the initial spike was like back in mid-August, and that spike looks like nothing now in comparison to what it was. It went way, way, way up, all the way to 60 cents at one point in time. I think Status has done a very nice job executing on their vision. They also kind of had the benefit of coming into the ICO world when ICOs were extremely hot and they raised a ton of money, so I'm sure they have a pretty significant war chest as well. Zach said, great work with the Charles Hoskinson interview. Looking forward to future guests. I appreciate that. And again, AirSwap team on Wednesday. I think I'm speaking to the team from Bounty 0x on Friday. I think I am, so I'm speaking to the team from Blockstack in early March. I'm speaking to Ari Paul in 2 weeks. So it should be a ton of good content with some fantastic interviews coming up soon. So I hope you guys enjoy those interviews as well. I think they're really helpful just to get very different opinions and more insight into the crypto world, because I think that's what it's all about. If you guys are new to the channel by any chance as well, would love for you to hit that subscribe button, the notify bell. That would be fantastic. And if you've been around the channel for quite some time, hit that like button so that more people can get this video. More people can hopefully come across this video and some of the insights that we talk about here, some of the questions that you might have as well. Time for Friday interview. I believe it's going to be in the morning. I will schedule that and I will let you know. If you're not following me on Twitter, it's crypto_Bobby, but I will let you know there. But I believe the interview on Friday, so it's going to be with the founder of, or the CEO, co-founder of Bounty 0x, Angelo Adam. Probably going to be speaking to him between, I would say, probably around 8 a.m. or so. So it's going to be early in the morning Eastern time. So if you're in Europe, hopefully that's good for you. I know a lot of people that might be watching are probably not really watching in Europe because it's like 5 a.m. there. But I think a lot of people in Europe always complain that I do this stuff too late, but that might be a little bit better for some of those folks. So this is the other one that this will be the Friday conversation. Again, Wednesday's AirSwap, but this is definitely a smaller project. I think they were up to about 100 mil during the big bull run, but now they're down quite a bit. But should be interesting to see, learn a little bit more about the project in general. I don't have any money in Bounty 0x at all, but I do think it's an interesting project. Got a chance to meet the founder and CEO at a meetup in New York City last week. Had a chance to talk to him a little bit. Interesting dude, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. So hopefully that should be a cool time as well. Beautiful website, I'll give him that much. Well, at this point in time, it's almost midnight here, so I got work tomorrow morning, so I'm gonna hit the hay at this point. I really do appreciate all the questions. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for the better part of an hour this evening. I really do appreciate that. We'll be back with another video tomorrow, and hopefully another crypto happy hour tomorrow night as well. So I really do appreciate the time. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a fantastic night. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe and the notify bell. If you've been here for a while, hit that like button, get it out. Really do appreciate it. Everybody, take it easy. Peace.